If you're looking for ideas and inspiration for your place in the country, register for the Living the Country Life newsletter. You'll receive helpful tips and information about a wide variety of seasonal topics, including pets, livestock, gardening, machinery, and more, delivered straight to your inbox twice each month. Sign up for your newsletter today at agriculture.com. Check out our full lineup of Successful Farming podcasts. The Successful Farming podcast goes in-depth into the topics that affect farmers and ranchers. The 15 Minutes with a Farmer podcast offers a quick conversation between an editor and a farmer. The SF Shorts podcast offers bite-sized interviews about agricultural topics. And the SF Daily podcast covers commodity markets, weather, and the big things happening in agriculture each morning. Search for Successful Farming wherever you download your podcasts.
A hot and dry summer can leave your plants feeling parched. It's important for trees to have adequate moisture now because they're forming buds for next year's growth. If the rainfall has been sparse in your area, it's time to give them a drink. John WYSH is an extension educator at the University of Nebraska. He says the first step is to figure out how dry the soil is. Grab the biggest screwdriver you can find and slowly push it into the ground.
You can tell a couple things from that. First of all, just how hard it is. What's the resistance of you pushing it into the ground? If it goes in real easily and makes kind of a sloshing sound and then you pull it out and the water is dripping off of it, the tree is too wet. If you try to push it into the ground and it's really hard to push it in the ground, and then when you finally do, you pull it out, it's powder dry on the end of the screwdriver blade, then it's too dry. You want that happy medium.
If the soil is too dry, it's time to water. It should be done over the entire root system, which is an area 2 to 3 times as wide as the spread of the leaves. Sprinkler system, soaker hose, however you do it is up to you, but the goal is to get moisture to the roots in a slow and deliberate manner.
For an acreage situation, a rain train is a very good device for a larger space around trees. Very easy to set, come back an hour later and reset it, have it go north and south, and come back and go the east and west the other direction. And it's very efficient at delivering the water. You don't get much evaporation with a rain train. So under those kind of settings, that's what I would recommend.
The water-absorbing roots are within the top 2 feet of soil. Keep these roots moist, but not wet. Aim for the equivalent of 1 to 2 inches of rain once a week or so. Learn more about watering trees at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com.
Hello, everyone. This is John Sleepy Williams with this week's Clinton Dragons football history lesson. The history lesson this week is on the all-time football series between the Clinton Dragons and the Campbell County Cougars. Clinton leads the all-time series with 32 wins to 11 losses. However, the second half of the series has become much more competitive. The two schools have played each other for the last 21 seasons, starting in 2003, with Clinton winning 11 of those games and Campbell County 10. The series began in 1975 as La Follette and Jacksboro consolidated to form Campbell County Comprehensive High School. Clinton defeated Campbell County in 1975 in the last game of the season, 49-18. The next season, in 1976, the Dragons, behind quarterback Johnny Burham and a pair of All-State linemen in Larry Cannon and Bruce Creekmore, went on the road for the first time to defeat Campbell County 24-12. Campbell County got their first win in the series over Clinton in 1977, defeating the Dragons 21-2. That win over the Dragons was the Cougars' last until 2003, a span of 19 straight Dragon victories. The first win in that streak of 19 wins was in 1978 as quarterback Calvin Moretz threw a touchdown pass to wide receiver Scott Val in the back of the Cougar end zone in the final minute of a 14-7 Dragon win. In 1981, All-State tailback John Miller rushed for over 200 yards in a season-opening 21-0 shutout of the Cougars. Most of the wins during that 19-game winning streak were lopsided, with only 3 games under 10-point margins. The 1986 team and the 1991 Dragons both scored 61 points on the Cougars. That was the most points scored by a Clinton team against Campbell County until last year, as the Dragons defeated Campbell County 55-14 in Jacksboro to snap a 3-game losing streak in the series. Prior to that, Clinton's last win over Campbell County was in 2019, a 12-7 victory by the Dragons in the downpour at Dragon Stadium. Clinton and Campbell County will get together this Friday night at 7 o'clock at Dragon Stadium. It will be senior night. So come on out and support the Dragons. I would like to thank everyone for listening to the history lesson. My name is John Sleepy Williams, and we'll see you next week.
Good morning and welcome to AM 1380 WYSH and Ask Your Neighbor. Ask Your Neighbor can also be heard and seen on our website, WYSHradio.com. And if you are in Anderson, Rome, or Morgan County and have Comcast cable, you can watch Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV Channel 12. Ask Your Neighbor is the program where you call in and do just that. Ask Your Neighbor. Do you have a comment? Do you have a problem? Or do you have a question? Then call in and ask your neighbor. 865-457-1380 or toll free at 877-711-4005. And for those of you that might be listening or watching on the internet, you can email from our website, WYSHradio.com. Just click on the Contact Us button and email your questions. Now sit back and listen as listeners throughout East Tennessee and the entire world answer your questions on Ask Your Neighbor on BBB TV 12 and AM 1380 WYSH.
We get to talk about all kinds of good things that are going on in and around Anderson County. Hello, Miss Stephanie. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great, Ron. How are you?
I'm good today. So far, so good. So it's going to be a pretty day, it looks like.
It is.
And then the weather is
going to be hot this week.
It is going to be warm. You know, the other day it was hot, and then it cooled down and got, like in the upper 70s, lower 80s, and then boom, right back
just
to the 90s.
Just a little tease, and then Mother Nature just
takes us back.
Jerked it away from us. Yeah.
Here we go, getting ready for the last big hoorah, I guess, of summer as we're moving up here on Labor Day.
Yes.
So what all we got going on?
We kind of hit a little bit of a lull in September. Not a lot of people, are planning events and those kind of things in September.
Gotcha.
Everybody's trying to get kids back in school and gear up for football and all that fun stuff.
Yep.
So there's not as many as events. We did talk about one last time, which is the Secret City Improv Festival.
Yeah.
So that will be September the 27th through the 29th in Oak Ridge. I think they're going to have some events at the library and then some at the Grove Theater. So again, that's if you're sitting there thinking improv is something I would like to give a shot at.
There you go.
They have different ways to teach you how to do it. Also performers that will be there, different groups that have come in. So it's if you like to laugh.
There you go.
If you like to be laughed at. so either way.
Both of the above.
All the above.
All of the above, yeah.
All the above.
Yeah.
So it'll be good.
And that's at the Grove? They're doing it?
Okay. Yes.
Very good. And then I think I heard tell that the museum has got their campground open now?
Yes, it's supposed to open the end of this month.
Mm-hmm.
They're already taking reservations, so it's going to be a soft opening.
Okay.
They will have some of the RV sites open, and then in the spring they'll have the cabins and the tree houses and stuff up in the woods. You can't really see those from the road, but we were up there just the other day, and you can see them being constructed in the woods. So that is going to be very nice. But they do have discounts through the rest of the year. So, and the museum has breakfast on Saturday mornings.
Oh, wow.
So they started doing that in preparation for the campground. And they're talking about expanding their restaurant. They're just waiting to see what the demand is and how it's going to kind of ebb and flow. And then they have plans to expand their restaurant and be open more often. So they just don't have the space right now. So.
Yeah, it's convenient to both University of Tennessee football
Absolutely.
and the Smokies and everything else. So should prove to be very lucrative for them, or very popular.
The demand is there for sure. If anybody's got a camper and they're trying to find a place to go camping, our state parks are usually where people go, but they are really limited. Yeah. And, they don't expand as often as private campgrounds do. So there's really a big demand. I think a lot of people bought campers during COVID and realized don't really have anywhere to go. So most places year out. We usually go, especially holiday weekends, but we usually go Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah.
To Middle Tennessee, and we always have to schedule it a year out. So it's already a lot of it's already booked up.
Well, I know Mom and Dad were camping this weekend. They were up in Pigeon Forge, and they wanted to stay an extra day, and they were like, "We don't have a place in the campground to move you to." No. They just thought they could move to a different spot.
Right.
And they were like, "No, we don't have anything for 2 weeks or something." Yep. So
a lot of campgrounds do long-term camping.
Yeah.
So a lot of those are there all year round.
Sure.
So they're really, which is revenue for the campground.
Absolutely.
So, but this museum is not going to be that. It's going to be transient, short-term
vacationers.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Well, it's good it's good that it's going to open, and I think it's needed in the area. I think it'll help them. I believe they will need breakfast. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I believe
absolutely.
I believe they will.
Well, it's always amazing. Nobody wants to cook when they're on vacation.
No. Especially in camper.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe outside in front of the camper on fire, grilling some burgers, but definitely not cooking breakfast. So what else is happening? What else we have coming up? It seems like you said, there's a lull in maybe in September, but we get into fall, it gears back up hot and heavy.
October is packed. It's starting with the Clinch River Antique Festival, October the 4th and 5th.
Yeah.
So they'll start on Friday afternoon and run into Saturday. And on Saturday, they open the Main Street, they close Main Street and have it for craft vendors.
Gotcha.
During the Saturday. But still all the antiques will be there the 2 days, Friday and Saturday. And they have live entertainment. There's some great food. So, if you're not really in the market for antiques, it's still worth coming down and checking out. But there's always a variety.
They haven't sent me anything on that. They usually are pretty good about sending that. But what weekend is that?
October the 4th and 5th.
Okay, 10, 4, and 5.
Yep.
All right, good deal. That's always very popular, both I think locals and, of course, brings in a lot of people, doesn't it?
Yes, absolutely. So like I said, and Tim, I always find something, a Christmas gift or, home decor or something. You're going to find something just because there's such a variety.
The boys, I don't know, especially Jacob, they love old stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They love the antique stuff. I'm not so much... I like old watches, but when it gets into furniture and stuff like that, but my kids, the boys love it.
Well, they're probably of the generation and just a little bit older than them too, that there's studies that's been done that how COVID has affected that generation.
Yeah.
And that they lost a lot of their grandparents and older people.
That's true.
And so they're kind of clinging to some of those things, and just how COVID really affected each generation, but specifically that generation because they were so young and impressionable, that they are into the reuse, just worried about the supply and demand factors of life. And so they are into reusing things and repurposing things.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've got James David, one of my twins, is helping with football and the sports program up here. And my stepdaughter, Demi, comes up on Wednesdays and answers the phone. And it was funny because Tracy, she was like, "Now, Ron, you realize you're going to have to teach her how to answer a landline."
Yes.
I said, "What?"
Yes.
But she's never used a hand. She never used a landline.
No,
I was like, "What?"
Yeah, or dial a 9 to get out.
Yeah.
Or pick up the phone and just dial.
Yeah.
So now they're like, well, where's the send button?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So but I got to thinking about it. So I have an old push button phone. They think it's not hooked up. They all of them, the 3 kids fight over it. It doesn't work.
Right.
They just want it, And it's this. I guess it's just the stuff that they never had, or the stuff that was what became a cell phone and all that. But for whatever reason, and Demi's the same way. They love to go antiquing. They love to go yard selling. They love to. I'm just like, y'all go, especially when they have the neighborhood subdivision thing. I'm just like, y'all go. Here's $20. Have fun. For $20, they can shop all day.
Yes.
But it's I just found it unusual that they like that so much. But they do. So I know what I'll be doing that weekend.
Yeah.
I'll be down. I guarantee. I used to try and go down on Fridays. Try and beat some of the incoming traffic in the evening and see what you could find in the stores and stuff like that. But now we just go whenever we got time, because now everybody's got separate schedules and so.
Right. Well, we usually help Catherine and them with the setup on Friday, and it always amazes me that people are there like 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, we don't open till like 12. And they're walking around and talking to the vendors,
trying to get that great deal.
To get that in there before anybody else can.
Oh, yeah.
So, and most of the time they're looking for something specific.
Sure.
So, but there's so much going on in downtown Clinton right now too, with the new stores and what's coming down the pipe.
Well, we've got the Darty building, it's under construction. We've got other buildings getting facelifts, as we're going. We're getting ready to redo Main and Market Street. That's going to start any day now.
Right.
So there's a whole lot.
Right. And the facade grants, the buildings that are being done, they're on the facelift is through a facade grant.
Yes.
That was through the Main Street program.
Yes.
So that's where, and that is an unusual grant because normally individuals, private businesses do not benefit from grants, but that's one grant that they have, that the state has, that private individuals can benefit from.
What are the prerequisites? Can I get a facelift for my building?
No,
I'm in
sorry.
the city.
Yeah, you have to be in that district that is described as Main Street. So when we did the Main Street application, the chamber, when I say we, I was on the board, but the chamber was the one that kind of led that charge. When they submitted the application, you had to put the geographic, area that you would define as Main Street. And we really went a little bit overboard. We really kind of spread it out a little bit and went down the boulevard and some other areas. And they come back and said, no, that's really not your historical, what we consider a Main Street area, because of that very reason. Anything in that footprint is eligible for grants or for funding for projects. And so we wanted to expand that.
It's a fantastic thing. I love public-private partnership. It's rare, and it's hard to navigate and negotiate. But, man, it does so well, because these people that they're going to receive these grants, and, yes, it's going to better their building, and that's going to help them. But at the same time, it really lifts the whole downtown.
It improves the downtown area.
And that helps everybody. So.
Well, if you have visitors come into your town and your buildings are, dilapidated,
like they were in 1993.
Exactly. They look just like that, and they're not easy to get into, and they're not appealing. They're going to turn around and get in their cars and go on down the road. Yeah. So it's just what it is. Same thing. If I pulled up to a mall and it looked like what Knoxville Center did towards the end, I would be like, I'm back in my car and I'm
going to West Town.
Exactly. So it's important that the aesthetics, even just the little things that we all take for granted, but the flowers that the Main Street program does, the flowers, and the corn stalks will be going up pretty soon, and they have the banners now up, and it's just little things like that. I was in Sweetwater for a meeting earlier last week, and their little downtown area is adorable too, and the same thing. I mean, I looked around at some of those little particular aesthetics, thinking that's what makes this look the way it does. The flags, the banners, the music playing, all of those kind of things adds to that aesthetic that says, I want to spend an afternoon here.
Yeah, and that's the whole idea, to make it very nice for our local community, and then when encourage visitors to come in and leave some of their tax dollars with us.
Absolutely.
All right, that's good. I'm really anxious to see, because having been here, I remember as a young man. In fact, I can tell you this. I can remember one of the first things, when I you get to be a certain age. I don't remember what age that was, but where I wanted different school clothes than what Mom bought,
Oh, yeah.
And I can remember I was old enough to drive, and I can remember driving to Hammers, maybe 16, 17 years old, and they had Izod shirts on sale.
Yes.
Now, Izod shirts were huge in the day,
huge,
but they were outrageous.
Yes.
And I remember you could get them at Hammers for like $9, $10 when they were normally $25 or something back in the 80s. So I can remember driving. So I remember it from that in the 80s. And then, of course, I bought WYSH in 1990. So I went through the 90s, and it was a transformation of downtown, but it was a transformation where the buildings were being used for storage, or they were being used for a garage, or as opposed to a storefront.
That was it. The longest time.
And the comic book shop. Yes. I remember Bobby had his collectible shop down there,
well, there was a couple of up there at the Antique Mall next to Daughtery's, that area.
The hair barber shop, the few little things.
Yeah.
But so
Ace Hardware.
Yes, Ace Hardware forever.
And the shoe store, yeah.
I miss the shoe store. They used to redo my boots.
Yes.
So I remember that back, in the 80s it was just kind of starting to decline. In the 90s, it declined. And then watching it come up here in the last, I guess, 20 years, 15 years, I can't remember. I remember when a lot of this started. I was on the chamber board as well back when Jackie was president. So I can remember some of the groundwork being laid.
Yes.
And now here it is finally. We're going to get to see what it's going to look like with the road and the sidewalks and the flowers and the building facades.
Awesome. Yeah.
And you know what Scott told me when he was here, that they think they can get all of this done in less than a year.
That's the plan.
That's pretty aggressive.
That is aggressive.
I mean, you're talking not just about buildings and flowers and sidewalks, but roads and CUB sewer movement and stuff.
The utilities are going to be the main thing too.
So that's a big haul, but man, I hope it happens.
Yeah, it's taken a long time to get to this point, but hopefully when they start, they will move fast and get it all done.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I was in the back of the city parking lot yesterday, and I looked over and I was like, "Whoop! Where did that come from? A big elevator chute, on the back of the Darty's building."
Oh yes.
And how amazingly, just hats off to those guys for matching that block.
Yes, it looks really good.
I was looking to see if they maybe took block from one part of it to put on the other, but it's a block brick thing that they've done, but it matches the building real well. And I really, really, really hope that some of the folks that were anxious about that maybe were worried that it was not going to contribute to the historic part of our community.
Right.
Hope that puts some of it at ease, because I understood what they were saying. I really did. And I don't know that the contractor was under any quote unquote legal obligation to make, but it looks like they really have that part of that new part of that building looks like the old part of the building, and that's good.
And I've heard that the apartments are very nice, that there's different variety, different layouts, and that they're very nice. And I'm glad too now that the city has got the additional parking, because there'll be residents parking there behind, in the existing parking lot.
Sure.
And now the city's got this other parking lot, so that will allow for downtown access and more walkability and those kind of things too. So,
and we need that.
So I'm glad that they're thinking ahead and looking down the road and accommodating, making sure that area is still accessible.
I think that this is a pretty exciting time in Clinton. I mean, I can remember going all the way back. I was talking about this with the mayor and the former mayor, back when we had the vision for Clinton's 21st century walk to the future, I think is what it was, because we were working on a lot of trails. A lot of that stuff since 2009 has come to fruition. But like you said, man, it's been a slow train coming.
A lot of people get frustrated, and I understand that. And then they may, just walk away from it. But that's not the answer. I mean, staying engaged and staying involved and staying focused on it. It makes a difference. And it's some of us that have been around for several years and been able to see them transition and look back and say, wow, if we didn't start that in the 90s, where would we be? If we didn't start that in the early 2000s, where would we be? We would still be sitting with buildings that are torn
down or dilapidated.
Or falling apart. apart, falling out into the road. Yeah. So, and it takes private investment. I know Clay Good, I think when he came in the 90s, early 2000s, sometime in that area.
He kind of got that ball rolling.
And bought some of the buildings, and now he's the one that's, redoing the front of them. And we have some new business owners now that's bought some buildings down there and doing a lot of remodeling and upgrading but still staying true to what the area is, trying to keep it a historical, walkable, something that attracts visitors and residents.
I got real close.
That's a hard mix.
I wanted to own. I don't know why, but I just thought how cool it would be to have the radio station right downtown.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I made an offer on one of those buildings back a couple of years ago. The corner where the drugstore used to be, right there on the corner. I wanted Main and Market frontage, and so I worked with them to try and do it. And when it came right down to it, we got close enough on money that I think we could have did it. But the roof was $60. I think they came out and looked, and I think it's going to be like $60,000, and then the air.
Yes.
Did you know that the heat and the air are under the road?
I did not.
There's a big metal plate on the sidewalk that you pick up, and it's all under there.
The wow.
Boilers and all that. And so all of that was, in order to make it, what I wanted, was going to have to be redone. And I just come to the point that I thought, okay, I'll stay on the hill. Well, I was going to do some other stuff. I had arcade planned, but then I was going to use the back of it for the station, or either the front of it, one or the other. And then we had apartments upstairs. But I understand the desire to be down there and be part of the revitalization and be part of contributing to that. And then to just continue to be part of right downtown. There's very few places left that you can be right downtown, still leave your windows open, and everything be nice and safe like it is here in Clinton.
Exactly. So. Well, we were just having this conversation this morning at a meeting I was at. It's a lot more expensive to remodel than just build a building. So it's nice that they're going the extra effort, putting in the extra effort to remodel the buildings and keep the historical facades and the aesthetics inside the building, the floors, the ceilings, those kind of things. So
that's cool.
That is not cheap.
No,
that is not cheap.
Especially when you're trying to do it. When you're trying to do it to replicate what was and stay within a certain format of building. I remember the gentleman that's doing the work down there. We had a meeting with TDEC. I think it was. I can't remember. Tennessee Housing Department. Anyway. We had a meeting with the state, and they were explaining some of the grants and stuff that they were using. They were explaining them some of the community, and he was talking about how expensive it was or the gentleman was building it to get the windows like it has.
Yes.
Way more than just changing it to normal windows. Anyway,
nothing is standard.
So it's good. It's going to be nice.
I mean, you look at Knoxville, the same thing. I mean, it started in the 90s, starting to redo it, do a lot of it, and it looks totally different. Cumberland, all of that looks totally different.
Oh yeah, Cumberland.
And so it takes private investment, but also public willing to work with the private to make those things happen.
Absolutely.
So, and I think we have that in Anderson County in general.
Sure.
So I think we have a lot of our government officials that appreciate the private investment. And there's been a lot going on in Rocky Top too.
Yes.
The new barbecue places opened up, and there's several shops there. And the thing is, just like with the antiques in Clinton, they're not competition. They're an addition.
Sure.
So same thing with the Walgreens, CVS kind of philosophies. Like if you have more of it, then you will attract more. So.
Well, I can take you all the way back to what I believe is one of the first, what is now the Antique Festival. That just kind of started as a downtown festival.
It started as an anniversary.
Yes.
I think the county's 100th or something like that.
I remember that.
Yes.
We had a truck up on one end, a bear on it, and we was auctioning stuff. But I can also, you go back to that. Rocky Top's probably in that phase, just getting started. Well, what we did once that got going, I can remember people started trying to come up with things on Friday, and they started planning when the Antique Festival was first planned. It was booked around the Museum of Appalachia's homecoming, right? So they would come in for homecoming. They'd go there on Friday, and Friday night nothing to do. So
Right.
that's when they came up with the idea, let's open up downtown Clinton on Friday night and try and get some of those people down here, not just coming tomorrow morning for walking up down the road, but let's open up the buildings,
Yep.
and open up our stores. So I watched all that go through. It's been pretty exciting to see it all come to pass.
Oh, yeah. And that it's still going on. I mean, some of the big festivals have stopped because they're just too expensive, but it's, it's a balance of trying to make sure that you're making, sometimes you don't even make a profit, just breaking even.
Sure.
Being happy with that. So it's good that that these things are still going on.
While we're talking about downtown, and when we were talking about the Mayor's Commission on Clinton's 21st Century, I was on the Magnet Mills property, whatever, board, sub. We were talking about that. I know from talking to Clinton City officials, there was what they called a good offer made on the Magnet Mills property. I don't know what that offer was, and I think they're offering asking $3 million or so. It's a lot of money.
I think it's up to about 4 now, but anyway, yeah.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
So, but have we heard anything on that? Because that project, the city, what folks don't seem to understand, because they'll say something like, "Why didn't they bring a Chick-fil-A?" Like the city could do that.
Right, exactly.
But the city,
call Chick-fil-A. It's all in their hands.
But the city of Clinton has kind of gone above and beyond. They put some polite pressure on the owners to tear the dangerous stuff down,
right.
Clean up what they could. So they've got that there. But the city doesn't have any control on what they price it for, what they take it, what not.
No.
And so have you heard anything?
Same thing here. I mean, the city has
Sure.
no control. If they pulled up and say, Ron, we don't like the way that your building looks, we want you to tear it down.
No.
Or we want to take it, or we want to build a Chick-fil-A here.
Sure.
There's, that's not within their control whatsoever.
Have you heard any rumblings? You're down there close to.
I pull every day when I pull in and pull out, I look at it. They just painted the metal building, so I'm not sure what that's about. But no, I haven't heard anything.
Okay.
So,
we'll see if we can find out, because I know there's some rumblings going on.
It's a beautiful piece of property.
There will be a day.
Whatever you put there is going to be successful.
There's going to be a day that will be a vibrant part of our downtown, and hopefully whomever gets it.
Well, and that's the key too. I mean, I hope that it is something that, that's something else that the city doesn't have control over. If somebody buys it and wants to put another warehouse there, there may be some zoning, I'm not sure. So Scott or Roger
zone away.
But hopefully that it will be something that is.
Well, I know that I was told that the person that is interested now has actually adopted plans very similar to what Joe had, Mr. Hollingsworth had, which would be retail on the bottom, and then you've got living in the middle, and then a nice restaurant on the top.
I think that most developers, that's where they are going now with the mixed use. I know the neighborhood over in Carnes that they're building, that's what their plans are. They'll have some shopping. I don't think it's going up. I think it's just going to be housing and then some shopping and shops nearby. So because they're just finding that's what people want.
Well, mixed use. I mean, I'm telling you, I would love to be able to walk upstairs and go to a restaurant.
If you look at Cumberland, that's what it is.
Yes.
All the shops downstairs and then all the residents upstairs, and I think that they are selling as quick as they can build them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know UT is they have the students.
It's going fast.
They're very
going.
Cool. They are.
They are.
I can't remember what I heard the parking statistics this week's on how many parking spots they have versus how many they sold. Like my nephew started there, and he is parking at the Civic Center and riding the bus over. That's what they have to do. So.
Yeah, I was Terry was. I was talking to Trey, and he needed something the other day. And he said, I'll come by later to get it. And I said, well, I'm coming through. I'll just swing in. He said, it will take longer for you to find a parking place than it would for me to drive to your house.
Yes.
I said, what? He said, yeah, if 4 o'clock in the afternoon right now. He said, Dad, it's crazy. I said, okay.
Well, even when I was there in the 90s, you had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, or you just, as a commuter, or you were not finding a spot.
I've for the football games, I've always parked behind a Copper Cellar for 30-some years. And so with Trey and the band this year, I'm taking 8 people with me to the football game. So for the first time, I bought
a parking spot.
I bought a parking
So you just
spot.
need to Uber.
Well, I wanted to be right in front of everything. You know what I mean? So we're going to get there early enough to see him come down with the band and all of that good stuff. So I think I'm in G7. So it's right across. I mean, I could throw a rock and hit a stadium. I'm that close. So I'm really excited to see that. So that's going to be a lot of fun. What else do we have coming here?
So we also, speaking of the museum, when we were talking about them earlier, they have their Fall Heritage Days in October, and then there's one in November also. But it's the last 2 weekends of October, and then, like I said, it rolls over into November the 1st. But it's kind of a mini homecoming.
Yes.
So they have the demonstrators, they have some music, they have some entertainment. It's geared towards children, it's geared towards school age, so it's perfect for school trips, it's perfect for homeschool groups, those kind of things, but adults will love it too. There's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of demonstrators there doing different things, blacksmith, quilting, all those kind of things.
Let Elaine and John know, too, to put us on their notification list just so we can put that on.
Yes, Will is their PR person. I'll make sure that he sends you the press releases. They just worked with ORNL and had the summer session. I think that went really well, the free concert. And I know last year they did some more of those concerts in the evenings. I'm not sure. I've heard that they are wanting to do some more of those, so I'll let you know as soon as I hear anything.
Do that, or have him, like I said, have them put us on, because I used to get more information and things for publicity from them, but it seemed to has kind of waned off over the last number of years.
And then the Fall Jamboree is October the 17th through 19th. That's at Windrock. So they have different events that go on with that. Also, they do not have the concert at this event, but they will have different guided rides. They have a night, kind of like a haunted ride, since it's that close to Halloween. But all of their events for that event, all of their different activities are on their website.
Gotcha.
So windrockpark.com.
Got it.
So, and they have camping. They have built a new beautiful campground.
I think I told you when you were here, I really want to go up there and just spend the weekend.
Yes.
I wait till a time when it's not so traveled.
Well, get one of those spots, because the other spots are beautiful, but you're kind of among the trees. This one they've cleared out and you're overlooking
everything.
Kind of a valley. It is gorgeous. It is gorgeous.
I want to do that. I want to take the kids up there, just get away from everything and disconnect for a day or two.
We always try to go out and get fall pictures.
Oh, yeah.
So I can't wait to go up there this fall and get pictures of that campground.
Very good. So, I know Jack was up there doing something with you guys. He enjoyed it. He was like, man, it is so nice up here. I'm like, why are you not, buddy?
Yeah.
He said, I am. But it's beautiful, beautiful up there.
We do a YouTube series that he helped us with. So he's great. Very professional.
He's good.
And did really good, great voice. But we had him everywhere. We were at Clinch. Go to our YouTube channel and look at all the videos.
Oh, yeah.
We were all over the place.
Yes, ma'am.
And it takes us we planned the whole day for those. And he just went right through it. We're like, okay, we're done by noon. So if he didn't come back to work, that's not on me.
Nope. Well, find that out.
All
right.
But a lot of events up at Windrock, we were talked about this the last time too, but they have a lot of events that are catered towards like Toyota.
Yeah.
They had a big Jeep event last weekend that was up in Pigeon Forge, but then they invite them to come over and go for a ride on Sunday. And so that was this past weekend. They'll have the Nissan event. They just have different Toyota Roundup is coming up. So a lot of different events for specific vehicles and groups and clubs and those kind of things. So I think I said last time, if you have a Toyota and you're looking for people to ride with,
there you go.
Check that out and go join them. So, and then we're getting into Christmas. Which we already have people calling us about the parades.
Okay.
And Friday night is Rocky Tops, December the 6th.
Friday night, December 6th.
Yep. December the 7th, that Saturday, is the Clinton Christmas Parade. And both of these are in the evening.
Gotcha.
Theirs is at 6 o'clock. Rocky Tops is at 7. And then Oak Ridge is the next weekend.
Gotcha.
And downtown Clinton, they have a lot of different events also for Christmas. They have a cookie crawl. That's December the 14th.
Do we have a downtown Clinton website that encompasses everything? I
if you
didn't even
Google
know.
historic downtown Clinton, you will see the Main Street Programs website.
Okay. Historic downtown Clinton.
And they list all their events for the year. I mean, they're already planning for next year.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Good. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else we got?
So that's what I
Well,
have.
good. No, that's, I mean.
But I do want to say, I want to take this opportunity since September is a little bit light on the events, take this opportunity to go and visit an attraction.
Yeah.
If you just go to one, if you go to one museum, or you go up and check out Windrock, or you go up and check out the lake, North Stam State Park has a lot of different events, a lot of different ranger-led activities that they do. I think they'll be doing their fall boat cruises. Go rent a boat. Just take an afternoon and ride on the lake. Just take this opportunity to check out your own community. We have so many great museums, and you're probably thinking, Stephanie, museums, seriously, but they all have such a unique story. With the Coal Miners Museum, Museum of Appalachia, I mean, I've been to these places so many times, probably more than anybody else that doesn't work there. And every time I go, I see something new and different and unique, and just the stories is always just so fascinating. So just different things. Cool. If you just stop and think, like Oak Ridge, the History Museum, if you haven't been to the History Museum out there that's at the Wildcat Den, I mean, it's amazing because there's so many stories within that story. And you think about, if you were a young person and said, hey, told your parents, hey, I'm moving across the country, I'm going to work on this project during this war that I have no idea what this is. I don't know what they're doing out there, but I'm going. And then when you get there, you still don't know what you're doing. And you stand there all day and you work and you have no idea what you're working on. And you're meeting all these new people, and because 70,000 people came from all over the United States and just converged in this one area. And, my favorite story is the kids talk about they woke up, went to school, but when they came home, they couldn't find their house because during the day they had built 3 more or 4 more on that block. So when they were the first house on the block,
easy to find.
Now they're the 4th or 5th house on the block. And just how rapid that whole thing happened, and just the effects of it still to this day, and just other things that they're doing out at Oak Ridge. It's amazing.
It was really cool when Lester Fox was still alive and with us. He came up a couple of times. One of my favorite people ever to walk the earth. I loved Lester. He told the story about how when he was a young man, a little boy, he was laying out of school. And he went into I can't remember, the 5 and dime store or whatever, where there was a phone, and they had received the call from the federal government that they were going to, take the land. And he sent him back to school to get the principal, because the principal is who delivered the message to the children to take it home. So they told Lester, they said, you need to go right now and tell Principal so-and-so either to come there or this is the message or whatever. But they were sending the message that they were coming. They were going to buy this property and giving people a heads up. So him and another boy, I can't remember the name, did that. And then he at 13 or 14 started his own bus service, people in and out. But just to hear just from his perspective, and that is some of the stuff that's saved, some of the stuff that we've got down there that people can find out about how it started and what it looked like. And, you look at it then and now, it's a lot to it.
And those people are still here. I mean, when you go to the History Museum, you are talking
a lot of them still
to someone, like, I didn't realize this, but the gentleman I was talking to one time we were there was actually and his name just slipped my mind, the photographer. They only had one official photographer. Yes, Westcott. Thank you.
Mr. Westcott, thank you.
Yes. They only had one official photographer, and actually his photos were not released until
long after.
Like in the 2000s, early 2000s. And now there's a book, and most of our museums have his pictures. But I mean, he documented all of that. But I was talking to his son-in-law, and so I mean, I was like, I didn't realize that his son-in-law was right here. But a lot of those people are still alive, and they are children that remember all of that. So
no, it's fascinating. And we don't know what we don't know about it.
Right.
You learn when you learn it, you're like, wow, I had no idea that happened. It's really cool. Chris Wallace wrote a book. I can't remember what it's called. 1944. I've got it on Audible. I listened to it. And he talks a lot about Oak Ridge because it leads up to the day we dropped the bomb.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, right up to the day they're in the airplane, they dropped the bomb. They watch it, and he's got firsthand accounts. But one of the boy is from Oliver Springs. The girl is from Clinton. They both went to Clinton High School, I think. Talking about him hanging out at Hoskins.
Yeah. He
went into the service, and she went to work down at the plant. I think she was wanting to be a teacher, but her dad went to work, and then she went to work down there, and that's what she did. She ran a machine. Mm-hmm. She had no idea what it was, but they talked about this. They had this firsthand love story,
right
in the midst of all this historic stuff. He's off fighting the war, and she's here building the bomb, not even knowing she's building the bomb. And a great deal of that book is about Oak Ridge and Clinton, Tennessee. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's called 1944. I can't remember. Just look up Chris Wallace' book. You'll find it.
Yeah.
It's really, really good, and it's got a lot of local flavor with people that you may or may not know. They're family members. I recognize their names. So it's cool.
And just all the things that have been created in Oak Ridge. I mean, your cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
This screen right here, was created in Oak Ridge. And to think that, I mean, we're in this middle generation. We're not too far, our ages are not too far off, but we're of this generation where our parents and grandparents did not have indoor plumbing and did not have air conditioning. It's age where we have children walking around with a computer in their hands.
It's amazing.
And being able to look up anything, have access to anything on the internet, and talking to your phone and have it write a letter for you, or
my car drives itself.
Exactly.
My new car.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
You start to get out of the like, whoop.
Exactly, and that's scary.
Yeah,
so
it is.
My mother-in-law just got a new van, and I was driving it, and the same thing. It's like put me back in my lane. I was like, okay,
stay in your lane.
I don't like this. But that is it's amazing how far that we have come, and that like we were talking earlier with the phones, with the handheld phones. The children today have no idea.
Well, I've got
absolutely no idea.
And I've got a friend whose son has just excelled tremendously to a point they recruited him right out of college. I think he's already got his master's, maybe even close to doctorate. But they Oak Ridge recruited him hard, worked with him like his last 2 years at college, and he's going to work in a very specialized area down at the lab of AI. They've got an area that they're working and developing AI, and then they've got another area that they're working and developing super AI. Wow. You know what I mean? He's in there that nobody even can know about.
Right.
And so the stuff that they've got, I mean, obviously he can't tell me any of it, but when it impresses them, and he already, and he's already one of these tech people
that does impressible.
Then it would probably blow me and you away.
Oh, yeah,
but the stuff that comes out of there is amazing. You just did. I mean, some of our heat resistant stuff that's on the space shuttles. It's just the stuff they've invented 8 miles down the road is just amazing.
It is. And it's, to me, too, one of the fascinating things is the mindset. So back then, when we had the Welcome Center, I would tell a lot of people about this, too, is no one knew what they were doing. Like, if you were to try to do that today, you'd have the media right in the middle of it,
absolutely.
Talking about, oh, hey, we're down here, this big development's happening, drones will be flying over. But everybody kept the secret.
The country. We did it because, you know what? When the government said it's important, we can't tell you what it is, but it's good, trust us. We did.
Trust us.
We trusted our government back then.
We did.
I don't know if we went wrong or they went wrong.
Well, I think Vietnam kind of, broke that trust in a lot,
Very much.
Because I'm sure there's a lot of things that the government did prior to that was on that level, but I think Vietnam definitely is where we started to see the turn of and with social media today, there's not anything that is secret.
No,
there's not anything that's not shared. And when something is happening, when you see an emergency situation and our first thoughts are pick up our phone and let's record it, versus let's jump in there and do something, then we've gone wrong somewhere.
Well,
so that's our first thought should not be let's document this.
Yeah, Jerry Shattuck
and share it for the first time.
Jerry Shattuck's a great historian of our area, and we talked one day, and he was just like, think about this for a moment, and I've probably said this to you, but you look at we've got everything from the Coal Creek Museum, Coal Miners Museum, to our museum about our past in Appalachia. We then fast forward over to, the Museum of
Science and Energy.
Thank you. I always say atomic energy. It was science and energy and then you move over here to Oak Ridge where we are literally creating the future. So we go all the way back to the beginnings of and if the dam was such an industrial step forward for the South, not just for Clinton, Tennessee, and Easton, but for the revitalization and the rebuilding of the entire South. Not only rebuilding, but it took us into an era of being able to create and do things in the industrial era that a lot of other people couldn't. Right. So that's just. I don't know how Anderson County became the focal point because there wasn't an I-75 going through here, so that wasn't the reason. So that's probably the reason I-75 came through this way because of all the stuff here, especially with the plant. But so much came here. A lot of
it was our legislators. It was our senators at the federal level. I know I'm going to get all these names wrong, but I think I'm not sure if it was TVA or if it was with Oak Ridge, but it was almost kind of like, hey, we're going to do this. And whoever the senator was at that time was like, okay, and where in Tennessee are we going to put it? Because he represented Tennessee.
Sure.
And so it's really, election is coming up, and we're not going to get into politics, but I guess if I could just get on my soapbox for a second, is I know the president is important, but your legislators, your senators, and your congressmen, they're the decision makers. And those are the ones that, if you need to know who they are and what they stand for and what they're
advocating for.
Exactly, how they would like to move this country forward on every level.
Sure.
On every level. It's the same thing, it's at the state, it's at the
city,
federal level,
county, state, and federal.
It's at the county. I am part of Anderson County government, and so I watch the county commission meetings. I watch the city council meetings. I participated in several, Oliver Springs and Rocky Top. They affect you just as much as the federal government does.
Sure they do.
So probably more so
in your local life.
So, get involved.
At least get educated.
Know who they are.
Yes.
They'll be happy to talk to you.
Year. Election year, they're chatty.
Will be happy to talk to you, but when we went to Washington, we took my son to Washington and went and met with our legislators and just sat and talked with them and of course, in my job, I get to meet with them frequently. So, but it's just know who they are.
Sure.
Because they'll be happy to talk to you, but know what they stand for and call them if there's something. That you want to express your concerns.
You got a beef. Call them.
Exactly. They will talk to you.
We've got a little lull from now until, what do you think, about the first week?
Yeah, end of September, then the first week of October. So take some time, get out and visit your attractions.
Make some plans. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some plans. I got to figure out, I'm going to get with Tracy and figure out, because my boys have very different, like, for instance, Jacob. I could take Jacob to Windrock and not find him for a month. You know what I mean? I'll give him an ATV, turn him loose, and he's in heaven. James David, maybe he would like it for a little while. Demi, so we got different. So I'd like to find something we could take all the kids to. Something they all have never been to, something that, tell them a little bit about where they're growing up that they don't know.
Absolutely.
Be cool.
And if you've done everything here, get out just a little bit further. Go out just, a half an hour, an hour. I mean, we've done the Cumberland Gap is awesome. Just the story of how that's where everybody came through.
Yeah, that's
when they settled the South and the West, that's where they came. And if you look at that terrain and thinking you're on a horse, you're pulling a wagon, you've got your whole entire family with you and everything you own.
And they didn't have the tunnel then.
No. So I was like, it's just fascinating.
It is.
And then, Sergeant York, that's within an hour's drive, his place, the Obed. I mean, all of that is just right here in our backyard. So it's worth getting out and exploring and Brushy Mountain.
Do you guys
the prison there is.
Do you have a place on your site to just list all the different things that we've got, like, let's say maybe within an hour or 2 hours or whatever.
We've developed several trails, so our main thing is we want them to stay here. You can go there, but we'd like for you to stay here. So we have developed several trails that we've used Anderson County as the hub.
Yeah.
So one of them's called, we just gave them names. One of them's called the Southern Settlement Trail.
Yeah.
And so it goes all the way up to the Cumberland Gap, up through La Follette, that area, and comes, and it hits a little bit of coal mining history through some of that coal mining area, and then comes back around. And then we have one that goes over to Brushy and comes back down through Oak Ridge. The Devil's Triangle, too. You can take that route, basically. And then we've got one that goes up through, up into Big South Fork. So the coal mining history up through that area with Pikeville and on up into Kentucky, there's an area there with a national park that they have done what they call ghost buildings. So it's an area where they've set up these ghost buildings and talking about the camp, talking about mining camps in that area, and there's a big coal where they used to bring it across the river, so you can walk.
They kind of recreated
across
it.
That, yes, but
That's cool.
it's just the structure, just the frame of it.
Sure.
But then it's a national park.
That's cool.
But then they've gone in and put a lot of kiosk and interpretive signage and those kind of things too. But the train runs up to that area, Stearns.
Okay.
I knew it would come to me. Stearns, Kentucky. Look that up. I mean, it's just. But again, we've developed, they're all on our site, and right now we're doing a big push because with the colors, the leaves changing, trying to get people to come here, stay in Anderson County, and then get out and explore those areas.
But do you just have like a linear list? You know what I mean? Like Coal Miners Museum Appalachia.
Yes.
Just like a list of the attractions right here, and people can go, Coal Miner, click. Because I've seen a lot where you've got the boxes of the stuff going on, and I'll click on a box.
Yeah, we have several. We have itineraries.
Gotcha.
So if you look at our trip planner,
there we go.
A trip planner will
help you.
We'll get you there. And if you also if you just type in travel300years.com, that takes you to we have a page that's travel 300 years in 3 days. And so it's an itinerary of
now, when did we do that?
Basically all of our historical attractions. So, and basically it points to our website. It's just a domain that we use.
Gotcha.
We have a brochure that we put out that's travel 300 years in 3 days, and that's the domain. So it's a way for us to track internally if somebody's picked up that brochure and gone to our website. And so, but it's just an easy way for me to tell you, instead of saying, go to our page and click this, click this, click this.
That sums it up.
Go travel300years.com.
That's cool.
And the number. Travel 300, the number, years.com, and that'll take you right to that page. We have ones called hitthetrails.net. We have lakenorris.com because everybody north of here calls Norris Lake Norris. So we have lakenorris.org. So a lot of different domains that we just have pointing to the same place.
Gotcha.
One website, it just all points you to
Brings
that
you home.
landing page.
Yeah.
Takes you right to the information that you're looking for.
Right. Anything else we need folks to know?
I can't think of anything, but we always also, if you need to find anything, adventureanderson.com will take you to everything, and check out the trip planner. I think there's about 6 of them on there, and then our blogs. There's a lot of recommendations in our blogs that are kind of like trip planners.
Gotcha.
That you can just say, okay, I want to go. I want to see the World War II history. Here's the places I need to go.
Cool. Do we have anything? Didn't we? We used to have an airport up on top of Briceville Mountain, didn't we?
Yes. Well, it was an air base.
Air base.
It wasn't really an airport. It was an air base. And there was 2 parts. So there was the part downtown, which is downtown Briceville. If you go past the Briceville Elementary School and drive out that road, it's called Air Base Road. It is into the bottom part. And then there was a tram that took you on top of the mountain where the radars were. And basically it was a radar detection for planes over Oak Ridge.
Yes.
Is why it was built.
Still cool. Cool stuff.
So, but when they built it, it never really functioned 100% because of the terrain, basically. But there was I think about 50 people stationed there, and there were barracks there. And again, there was a Reverend Daughtery. I don't know if you remember him. He came here to work there and met a woman and married her and stayed. And that's where I got most of my information is he worked there, and he would talk about when they would ride the tram back down, the brake system always didn't work. He said, so we were just like praying every single time, and that we were going to make it back safe. And there was one man that would never ride it. He would refuse to ride it, so he would drive, and it would usually take him about an hour to get up there. To Cross Mountain is where the Air Base is stationed. And when you go up there were facilities up there too.
Sure.
And right now it's where most of the radars and the biggest, not radars, but
radio towers.
The radio towers, TV, radio, cell towers, those kind of things are up there on that mountain. But you'll see the foundations of some of the buildings still up there.
There's a lot of cool stuff.
A long time since I've been up there.
A lot of cool stuff. And I remember, gosh, I can't remember her name. Her first name was Dorothy. She was a lady. She participated in the, not the Air National Guard. What's the Civil Airs? I can't remember. But she used to tell me stories about that. She was on that base up there.
Okay.
And then even after all that was over, she continued in aviation and stuff. Even when she became when I met her, she was an elderly person. But oh man, the stories were amazing. And I'm enthralled with planes anyway. Just to hear all that. And they would track planes. That was one of their big things to make sure nobody was coming we didn't want coming.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty cool stuff.
I think they still have that, but it's out at the airport. So
today they've got it, but it's probably above us doing it.
Still heavily protected.
Very heavily. Yeah, I watch. I love when. Have you ever seen the International Space Station go over? Have you ever watched that? You can see it with the naked eye.
Yes.
But yeah,
there's an app you can do.
I got good at it one summer because I would take my phone and you could plan. And I would get the kids and I would say, all right, you look right here, and I could almost count it down. The app did. Right. But then I would get my tablet and you could get the ISS feed.
Okay.
And it has a camera. Pointing down. So we'd be watching for it, and you could be seeing it coming, and then all of a sudden, the screen would go black on the camera, and there it would pop up. Because when it came over Oak Ridge, they turned the camera. See, at first, the first few times I did it, I was like, why is my tablet messing up? And I kept going,
Yeah.
And then somebody said, Ron, they turn it off when it goes across anything that they don't want anybody else not to see. I thought, so when it hit the Oak Ridge Reservation,
shut off.
Camera's off.
Wow.
And then click back on, back Kentucky,
Yeah.
So it's cool stuff to be able to get out and do that. And then, like I said, I realized the historical and the military significance of what it is. But still, it's cool stuff. Have a good day. We sit here and talk about stuff like that forever, and I can drag you from the Museum of Appalachia to space in no time, and we'll sit here and talk about it all day. But when you come back next month, we'll probably be hop, skipping, and jumping. It'll be going.
Yes, we'll be talking about a lot of the events and have more specific details, times, and all that great stuff. But I do think if you are interested in being a vendor, I think that they are still looking for some vendors and stuff like
Downtown
that.
Clinton Antique Festival.
So
it's gotten a lot bigger.
Give Catherine a call.
Yeah.
So I know there's
Catherine
kind
Burbeck.
of a jurred application process, but the more the merrier.
Oh, yeah. What are we doing, about 80, 85, 88, I think last time?
Yeah.
So.
I think with the crafts and stuff is over 100 vendors, so.
And I like that they took it across the street and they're going up there now. That was always something that.
I think it's all the way down to the courthouse.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be it's growing every day.
Every year. So.
We'll have Stephanie Wells is our director of tourism here in Anderson County. We're happy to have her come in. We try and get her come in once a month. If you guys are out there and you have stuff going on with your church group, civic organization, or whatever you'd like to come in and talk about, I would love to have you guys come in and talk about it. It doesn't have to be something sanctioned by the government or whatever. It can be your church. It can be anything that you've got that is interesting to the folks here in Anderson County. You know what I ought to do? I would love to do this. I need to get Elaine or maybe John or somebody come in and talk about the Museum of Appalachia. I need to get who's the curator of the Coal Miners Museum right now?
Lori.
I get Lori to come in. See if I can get Tim. If you're listening, see if you get Lori to come in. That would be so interesting. I'd love to do that, and maybe get somebody from the Museum of Science and Energy and some of just to come in and talk about the asset that we have and the history behind it and the future it's creating,
Well, and I know with the American Museum of Science and Energy, I just got an email from them about their homeschool programs.
Okay.
So there's so many opportunities down there in the summer and throughout the year for your children for activities. So they have homeschool curriculum that they'll help you with.
So it's kind of like having a summer camp.
Exactly.
They learn good stuff.
Exactly.
Wow, that's
in a fun way.
Yeah.
So because it's, I'll be honest with you, a lot of that stuff goes over my head.
Oh, me too.
So but they really teach it in a way that people can understand it.
And see, I've missed a bunch of that. The boys went to a lot of it, but I've been here every day. You know what I mean? So
right.
I've missed a lot of that. So I would love to get folks up here to talk about it, and I want to go see some of it.
We took my grandnephew. We took my son to the Children's Museum, but we took my grandnephew not too long ago. My husband's like, I really enjoyed that.
And you know what? He's surprised that he did, because we live among it every day, and we don't realize, it's like everything. You take the stuff that's right here in your backyard in every form and fashion. We end up taking it for granted. We're just human that way. But a lot of cool stuff out there. Hope you guys will get out and do it. Enjoy what we have here. And if you're out there and you work with one of these organizations or something like that, parks, that's the other thing too. So many parks, so many trails, so many opportunities.
Yes.
Come in and talk to us about it. We'd love to hear about it. I know everybody else would love to hear about it, and that way we've got it from now on.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
You too.
All right, guys, we'll be back tomorrow. Let me see, what is tomorrow? Tomorrow is Wednesday. I think we've got open phones on Wednesday. I haven't went back and looked, but I think we got open phones tomorrow. Guest, one way or another, you'll find out when I do.
Somebody might just pop in.
Pop in. There you go. All right, good morning, everybody. This is the Country Club McMorning Show on WYSH.
Serving East Tennessee since 1960. W266 AM, W25B6, FM 101.1, FM 99.5, AM 1380, WYSH Clinton.